When we think of Dungeons and Dragons, many of us might picture trudging through the wilderness, or searching for treasures in caverns, or investigating ancient ruins. All of these are wonderful and exciting parts of the game. But I don't know about you, in reality, many of my campaigns take place largely in cities. For good reason. A city in your setting is where the people are. It's where the party can find quest givers or supplies. There may even be a tavern that they call home. I like my cities to have personality, to essentially be their own character, with quirks, secrets, and vibes that are particular to them. Now, that's another video entirely, but today I'm going to give you one simple trick on how to make your players either love or hate a city, and that is a newspaper.
An extra, extra! Read all about it!
Super simple idea, right? While you might not have mentioned it at your table yet, I'm guessing that you'd agree that the larger cities in your setting have a newspaper. At least one. Now, this isn't a tactic I'd employ in some backwater town with a few dozen people in it, and honestly probably not in a quaint village either, unless you're going for like a cozy cottagecore campaign with intrigue replaced by gossip, and goblins replaced by Granny Kettlewhistle's hellish cat down the street. Which sounds like an absolutely adorable setting that I would love to play in. But if your players are going to be often visiting and staying in one decently large city, I'm begging you, give it a newspaper. The opportunities are endless. Think about it. This is how information is widely spread amongst the non-magic people in a typical fantasy setting. If you're looking for historical accuracy, ancient Romans were handing out papers reporting on news, assemblies, births and deaths, and even gossip as early as the 1st century of the Common Era. The Gutenberg printing press debuted in 1440, so there's no reason to not include it in your world. Instead of an NPC saying, "Oh yeah, I heard about you adventurers," they could instead say, "Yeah, I read about your tiff with that werewolf in last week's Ravenloft Gazette. Did you really shove silver coins up its Boom. This is already so much more engaging to your players and adding depth to your world, whether what the person reads in the newspaper is actually true or not. Now, how does this make your players hate or love a city? Easy. The news is biased. It always is, always has been. We see it in our everyday lives, which may make you want to avoid it in your fantasy escapism.
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Fair point, but it can be a blessing to your players as much as a frustration. Let's talk about the best case scenario first. Hey, Grogmont, did you see the etching in today's Neverwinter Tribune? You look really good, man. The artist certainly did you some favors. And the description of you in the battle arena is, well, it's visceral.
Ooh, show me, show me!
When your party is portrayed in a positive light for all the city to read about their heroic deeds, they'll feel proud of themselves, excited. But when a townsperson, maybe an attractive bard or server at their favorite drinking hall, asks them to sign that newspaper, they're going to be flattered. Then, a few sessions and 1 or 2 editions of that newspaper later, the party is walking down the street when they see some kids playing with dolls. And, hey, that doll with the curved stick sure does look like the ranger with their bow. That bigger doll has the same color hair as the barbarian, and they have a stuffed panther too, which is the druid's favorite wild shape. The kids are essentially playing with action figures of your heroes. And when they raise their eyes to your party watching them, their jaws drop in awe. Next thing you know, the mayor is inviting the heroes and their reporter friend that they've made along the way to a publicity stunt, because everyone in the city seems to love this party, and the mayor is trying to improve his favorability before the upcoming election. You see how the city's adoration for the party grew? I would bet that at the same time, the players' investment in the city increased as well. As their fame spreads with each new edition of the paper, more and more people are following their adventures, recognizing them in the streets or at a shop. Shopkeepers might even offer them a huge discount if they wouldn't mind just making a casual mention of the shop in next week's story. And they will. Players will do anything for a discount. Now, you might be starting to see how all of this attention is a double-edged sword. More attention and knowledge of the party means more people coming to them with their quest hooks, or their problems. Each adventure is the potential for another story about their heroism, but any mistake that they make is going to be widely publicized. The more people that know and love the party, the more people they can let down. This could take a city that they've really grown to love and make it a stressful or annoying environment. Maybe that's what you're going for, but if not, and you really want them to feel at home in this specific city, then I have good news. You are the DM. You get to control the rate at which their fame grows, and where it reaches its limit. I fully believe that it is incredibly important for your setting to have a place that the party calls home. A city that feels more theirs than any other. But maybe you already have that, and you want to contrast it with a city that the party is required to go to and stay in for some time, whether it be by backstory or quest, and you really want them to hate this place. Here, they feel like the world is against them, that they can't ever say the right thing. Now, to do that, take all of my previous suggestions and reverse them.
Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it.
They have a hard time finding a tavern that will even serve them dinner after the newspaper wrote a story about a bar fight that they got into on their first night in town, and that one was definitely not their fault. As they're walking down the street, they see two teens defacing a shop wall with graffiti that looks like cartoonish mockeries of the party. The teens see them, make a rude gesture, and then run off, just in time for two city guards to see the party standing next to the still drying paint. The mayor of the city, desperate to raise his favorability before the next election, starts pinning all of the city's problems on your party, or takes credit for their successes. Now, a disclaimer here. While hating a city can be just as important to character or party growth as loving one, there's a good chance that your players might become really annoyed by this, and not in a good way. Don't forget that you are playing this game with them, not against them, and the point is for everybody to have fun. It is possible to have a city that is really frustrating and drives the players crazy, but they're still enjoying it at the same time. What you don't want is to push all of their buttons until they're all ready to quit. You know your players best, so pay attention to their vibes and talk to them about how they're feeling. Maybe even share what your own intention is. Make sure that there is something keeping the party in this city, whether it's a few good people who don't believe in the stories, or the cult that they're chasing letting a vital clue slip. Then, before their hatred of this place goes too far, let them save the day in a way that cannot be denied. Watch their relief as overnight the city's perception of them goes from mud to gold. The slimy reporter who is always twisting their words is fired and thrown out on the streets, and the mayor loses the election in a landslide loss to an NPC ally who was always kind to them. I hope you can see what a fun addition a newspaper can be to a city. It invites investment. It can help your party learn more about the setting as the setting learns more about the party. It can help establish goals, it can introduce NPCs, serve as a campaign log or a city index, and it increases role-playing. I mean, come on, a press conference can be the ultimate social encounter.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Now, adding a newspaper to your city comes with an obvious recurring NPC as well, the reporter. There are so many fantastic tropes that this role can fill, and it can allow you as a dungeon master to have so much fun. In my campaign that lasted almost 5 years, the Stormslayers were constantly harassed by Alonzo Tabaldi, editor-in-chief of the Ocean Tribune, a once friend turned antagonist, who seemed determined to paint their every move in a negative light. Even more fun? They learned pretty quickly that he was a doppelganger who could take on the form of anyone around them, potentially always listening in to their conversations. Always identified by his red-feathered quill, they eventually got the better of Tibaldi, and they never saw him again. Also, they intentionally never got his name right. It was hysterical. It was basically the centering version of the Benedict Cumberbatch meme. What I'm saying is, a reporter antagonist can be a very powerful weapon in your arsenal. Someone who takes damning quotes out of context, twisting words to be cruel or odd or embarrassing just for a good headline.
A mere boy of 12.
I'm 14.
About to compete against 3 students, not only vastly more emotionally mature than yourself, but who have mastered spells that you wouldn't attempt in your dizziest daydreams. Concerned?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it.
Just ignore the quill.
Now, my tip? Make sure that they always interact with this reporter in a public setting, otherwise your peaceful party may turn into a small mafia and the reporter will have an unfortunate accident.
I want you to take care of that son of a bitch right away.
Paulie sold out the old man, that Strutz.
I don't want to see him again. Make that first thing on your list, understand?
Understood.
A reporter can also be a really helpful figure to a party. This is someone who knows the city better than just about everyone. They have professional access to political figures, crime scenes, celebrities, private records, you name it. If the player characters play their cards right, this person could be a very important person to know. And if your table is interested in this kind of stuff, you could always pull a Lois Lane and make the reporter a love interest.
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you very much, Miss White. Excuse me. Well.
Any more at home like you?
Not really, no.
I didn't think so.
You could also run a campaign where all of the party members are employees of a newspaper, and their quests are given to them by the editor-in-chief. It's an unconventional campaign idea, but to me it sounds like a lot of fun. Bards and rogues would fit in perfectly, or even a druid who uses their wild shape to spy on unsuspecting article subjects. The editor-in-chief could be a charming but also demanding NPC with a soft spot for the party.
You serious?
My last piece of advice on this subject. You could describe the paper and what it says to your party, allowing them the theater of the mind. Or you could make it. Whether you play in person or online, you can find plenty of resources to make a newspaper format that you can show at your table. Here are a few images that I used for my online game, and I can only imagine how immersive it would feel to be given a newspaper at the D&D table to be briefly read through to find important information bits. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope there were some ideas in there that you found useful. I cannot recommend highly enough putting a newspaper and a memorable reporter NPC into your big city. For all of these reasons, and many more that I didn't mention. Until next time, roll high and have an inquisitive session. I know I don't post video as often as I'd like to, but really, who has the time? I'd love to write and create content full-time, but right now I'm juggling so much. I have a bunch of ideas for more videos in this DMing tips series. I have more information about centering itself that I want to share. Plus, I want to put together a video of what I learned from ending my 5-year campaign, followed by a campaign recap series that I want my players to help me with. On top of that, I am also currently working on the sequel to On the Subject of Witches, and then another book which will take place in Centering, and 2 other big projects that I'm not ready to announce quite yet. Not to mention the fact that I have a full-time job, a wife, and a 1-year-old. So my time for writing scripts, recording, and then editing videos, it's limited. This channel is new, but it is growing. You can look forward to all of this coming in the future. If you'd like to stay up to date on Centering, please go ahead and subscribe and like this video. If you want to support the channel, you can check out the Centering website to purchase my D&D inspired fantasy novels and join our mailing list. You can also buy my book on Amazon, including a Kindle version, but I think Bezos has enough money, and I make a larger percentage if you buy it direct on the website. So choose wisely. Every supporter, sale, and donation makes a difference. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Watch their relief as overnight the city's perception of them goes from mud to gold. The slutty